For a limited time, get 2 toasty sausage McMuffin with egg sandwiches for only $3 at participating McDonald's. I'm loving it.
The sanctions against Penn State for the school's failure to handle abuse by former assistant coach Jerry Sandusky. While the football program did not receive the death penalty, the penalties they did receive are severe. They include a $60 million fine. That's the money Penn State would have made on football this year. Penn State loses its wins from 1998 to 2011, meaning 112 wins are erased off the record. The team has a postseason ban, 4 years, no bowl games for 4 years. The athletic department is on a 5-year probation. They'll also lose some players. Current Penn State players, even recruits, are allowed to transfer and play at another school if they want to without any sort of penalty or sitting out. The family of the late Joe Paterno says these sanctions defame the legacy of a great coach and educator. But NCAA President Mark Emmert wants them to be a, quote, gut check for other schools.
Grave dangers stemming from our love of sports is that the sports themselves can become too big to fail, indeed too big to even challenge.
He also says he didn't give the football program the death penalty because that punishment would be too severe for people who weren't involved in the scandal. All right, Rob Calloway from the Sports King on V103 and 1380 WAOK here to talk with us about this morning. Good morning again to you, Rob.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. My wife walked in last night and said, listen, if this isn't a case for the death penalty, what is? If sexually abusing children isn't as important as paying football players, then something is seriously screwed up. Some people are saying they should have gotten the death penalty.
Well, you know, the real deal is that if there was any case where a team should have faced the death penalty, I think that this is really it when you compare it to the only other death penalty, Southern Methodist back in the 80s, where it was basically a financial situation that was occurring with the school and the football players. But in this case, you know, there are a lot of people that were crying for the death penalty, and early on I was one of them. But once the penalties came out yesterday, to a certain degree, I think they were fair and just.
Yeah, and people are saying, listen, the NCAA learned from the SMU issue that the death penalty is just too severe because it impacts tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Let's play part of the news conference from the NCAA where the president talks about how Penn State will now lose some players likely.
In order to minimize the negative impact on student athletes, the NCAA will allow any entering or returning football student athletes to transfer and immediately compete at the transfer university, provided he is otherwise eligible.
Athletes, yes, they can transfer and play somewhere else. That's slightly different than a normal situation where they would have to sit out a year. Rob, how bad is this going to be for Penn State? How long until Penn State is a national contender again?
Well, I mean, realistically, I don't think it's going to be that long. I mean, you've got a brand new head coach in Coach O'Brien. Now's the time for him to create his own legacy. And I think you do that by placing maybe 3 to 5 players in the NFL draft over the, you know, each year of the probation, each year that they're being penalized. And then once they get ready to come, you know, from under the bowl ban or whatnot, I don't really think it's going to be that hard for them to recruit some of the top echelon players as they've been known to do. And then in the upcoming season, you got to imagine that the folks up there, they feel like they have a point to prove. And I think that every game is going to be a sellout still. And I don't think that their recruiting is really going to be a process. And I think they'll be back in the national powerhouse rankings within the next 5 to 6 years, honestly.
Rob, thank you very much. We do appreciate it. Rob Calloway with V103. It's great to have you on again this morning.
Thanks,
bud.